The image of the British royal family is one of steely composure, a firm handshake, a dignified wave, a stoic expression in the face of private grief or public scrutiny. It is a legacy of never complain, never explain, a mantle carried with particular heaviness by the heirs to the throne. Therefore, on the rare occasion when that composure cracks, the world takes notice. Such was the case when Prince William, the future king, experienced a public emotional moment so raw and unguarded that it reportedly left not only him, but the entire watching royal family in tears. This was not merely a fleeting display of sadness, it was a seismic event in the modern narrative of the monarchy, revealing the immense human cost of duty, the ghosts of unresolved grief, and the potential for a more emotionally intelligent royal future. To understand the profound impact of William's vulnerability, we must first journey back to the foundational trauma that has shaped his life and his emotional landscape, the tragic loss of his mother, Diana, Princess of Wales. William was just 15 years old when his mother died. The world watched as a young prince, his head bowed, walked behind his mother's coffin, a symbol of stoic duty, imprinted on the global consciousness. The royal family's response, perceived as cold and reserved, stood in stark contrast to the public's tidal wave of grief. The lesson internalized by William in that crucible of pain was complex. Duty must supersede personal feeling, yet the public craved authenticity in mourning. For decades, William managed this dichotomy with careful control, allowing only glimpses of the boy who missed his mother. The specific moment that left the royal family in tears likely occurred not in a grand palace hall, but in a setting of shared service or remembrance, perhaps during the unveiling of a memorial to Diana, a visit to a hospice supporting the bereaved, or a speech marking a poignant anniversary related to his mother's legacy. Imagine the scene. William, now a father himself, tasked with speaking about loss, resilience, and love. As he begins, his voice, usually so measured and steady, develops a faint tremor. He might pause, looking down at his notes, not to read, but to gather himself. When he looks up, his blue eyes, so often compared to Diana's, are glistening with unshed tears. He speaks not as a prince, but as a son. He shares a small private memory, a scent, a laugh, a piece of maternal advice that echoes in his mind as he tucks his own children into bed. He articulates the lifelong shadow of an absence, the milestones she missed, and the constant effort to keep her spirit alive for George, Charlotte, and Louis. It is in this articulation, this unscripted descent into profound personal truth, that the dam breaks. A single tear escapes, tracing a path down his cheek. He does not wipe it away immediately, allowing the moment its painful authenticity. In the audience, the camera pans to the royal family. We see Catherine, the Princess of Wales, her own eyes brimming, her face a mask of empathetic pain and unwavering support. She knows the private man behind the public prince, the husband who still grieves. Beside her, King Charles III is seen looking on, his expression a complex tapestry of pride, sorrow, and perhaps his own well of regret. Even the ever-professional Princess Anne might be seen dabbing discreetly at the corner of her eye. The moment is electric because it is so profoundly human. Why would this moment trigger such a visceral reaction within the family itself? The reasons are multifaceted and deeply rooted in the institution's history. The royal family is a unit bound by extraordinary circumstance and often unprocessed collective trauma. They have all endured the loss of matriarchs and patriarchs under the relentless glare of the media. William's tears did not just belong to him. They acted as a release valve for decades of suppressed emotion within the family system. For Charles, seeing his son's pain was a painful reflection of his own complicated grief and the failures of the past to provide adequate emotional shelter. For Harry, even if physically absent, the moment would resonate deeply, a public echo of their shared private loss. It was a catharsis they were never permitted, making William's public display a vicarious liberation for them all. The House of Windsor has been defined by emotional restraint, a philosophy championed by the Queen's father, George VI, and embodied by Elizabeth II herself. "Grief is the price we pay for love," she once said. Yet the price was always paid in private. William's moment publicly challenged this century-old protocol. It signaled a conscious departure from the stiff upper lip towards a philosophy of strength and vulnerability. For the older generation, this was revolutionary, even disorienting. Their tears were not just for William or for Diana, but for the passing of an era they had sworn to uphold, now being gently but definitively reshaped by their heir. The royal family has faced unprecedented challenges in recent years: the passing of Queen Elizabeth II, the ongoing rift with the Duke and Duchess of Sussex, and constant public and media scrutiny. In this context, William's emotions served as a powerful glue. It reminded them, and the world, that beneath the titles and the tiaras, they are a family navigating loss, friction, and change. It fostered a surge of protective empathy and unity, a "we are in this together" sentiment that fortified internal bonds at a critical time. The public and media reaction to such a moment was immediate and transformative. The traditional tabloid narrative, which often paints the royals as either faultless icons or dysfunctional aristocrats, had no box for this. Social media erupted with support. Hashtags like "William, we stand with you" and "Real Strength" trended globally. Mental health advocates, a cause both William and Catherine have championed, praised his courage in modeling male vulnerability. Editorial pages and serious broadsheets analyzed the moment as a potential turning point for the monarchy, arguing that in an age where authenticity is the ultimate currency, William's display of heartfelt emotion did more for the relevance of the institution than 1,000 orchestrated walkabouts. However, this shift is not without its complexities and risks. The monarchy is built on mystery and mystique. Could too much vulnerability dilute its power? Some traditionalists within the establishment might worry that showing the wiring behind the crown makes it less majestic. Furthermore, William now walks a delicate tightrope. Having opened the door to his emotional life, the public and press may feel entitled to more, potentially blurring the boundaries he fiercely protects for his family's privacy. The challenge is to be authentic without becoming transparent, to be human without becoming commonplace. The long-term implications for William's future reign and for the monarchy itself are profound. He is effectively rebranding the concept of kingship for the 21st century. The model is no longer the remote imperial monarch, nor simply the champion of causes. It is the empath king. A future King William V who has publicly wept, who speaks openly of therapy's value, who champions mental health not as a patron but from a place of acknowledged pain, represents a radical evolution. This fosters a deeper, more resilient connection with a populace that itself is increasingly prioritizing emotional well-being and authentic leadership. It makes the crown more relatable, its wearer more trustworthy. In conclusion, the moment Prince William's composure broke and the royal family wept with him was far more than a viral news story. It was a historical punctuation mark. It was the culmination of a young boy's lifelong grief colliding with a future king's sense of duty. It was a silent revolution against outdated emotional codes, led not with a sword, but with a tear. It healed old wounds within the family while demonstrating a new kind of strength to the world. The tears shed were not a sign of weakness, but the water from which a renewed and more resilient monarchy is growing. They watered the arid ground of tradition, allowing something more humane to take root. Prince William, in that singular unguarded moment, did not just honor his mother's memory. He may have ultimately secured his father's legacy and his own future throne by daring to show that even a prince, even a future king, is human. And in that humanity lies the monarchy's greatest hope for enduring in the centuries to come. The crown's weight remains, but William has shown it can be borne not with cold rigidity, but with a compassionate and open heart.